Okay, and the week ahead, this is for the week of September 2nd through the 6th. We'll go through some of the key themes first, and take a look at the macros and go into some of the earnings names that we could expect. Key themes: Fed speak, obviously going to be pretty large next week. We've got the big one's going to be Jerome Powell on Friday at 11:30 a.m. Notably, about 3 hours after the jobs number is released, and also going to be after a slew of other speakers that we're just about to cover here. First off, Boston Fed President Rosengren, notable for his speaking out against the need for any sort of rate cuts, and also the idea that he was one of the dissenters. Him and Kansas City Fed President Esther George, of course, both voted against the rate cut last time around. So we should start off the week on a little bit of a hawkish tone in terms of the Fed speak. But then on Wednesday, there's a few notable doves going. First, we got Michelle Bowman, Fed governor, starting everything off. And then Fed presidents Williams, Evans, and Bullard. The later three have generally taken a dovish tone with a large concern around inflation. So I want to keep an eye out on that, and that's going to help set the table. We also have the Fed Beige book out on Wednesday. Not sure how much conviction we'll get from the Fed members on that, but all those members and then the jobs number, of course, are really going to lay out the groundwork for Jerome Powell. So lining up to be an important talk from him on Friday. And that'll be the end of the that'll start the quiet period before the September 18 FOMC decision. Right now, of course, expectations are for a rate cut. Manufacturing PMIs, we're going to start getting them tonight with China, and then Sunday night we'll get the rest of the Asia Pacific region, and Monday morning the European numbers. The U.S. figures will be released on Tuesday, but this is going to really help set the tone for traders when we get into our desks on Tuesday. So I'll be probably writing something up on Monday afternoon with regards to this, and make sure everyone's prepared for what to expect coming in on Tuesday. And then U.S. economic data, already noted the jobs report on Friday. That looms large, particularly with some of the concerns around the cracking on the consumer spending side of things. The ADP number, it's been a pretty good precursor the last couple of months. That's going to be released on Thursday, not Wednesday, delayed one day due to the holidays. In addition, we got the ISM and PMI numbers due out on Tuesday. Of course, the last round PMI figures came out below 50, so want to keep an eye out on that. And then July factory orders will be released on Thursday. Also, pretty busy conference season. I'll break into some of the exacts in a second here, but macro's really dominated everything in the last 2 to 3 weeks, and now we should start getting a little bit more commentary from the companies on what to expect in that October reporting period. I'm expecting a cautious tone. Certainly, I would argue that that's been the case for those July end reports that we've seen, and this round of conference call should be quite important. We'll go through the exacts in a second. Breaking down each section here, we got the U.S. macro. U.S. tariffs go in to affect on Chinese goods for about 85 to 100 billion of products on Monday, of course. Tuesday, we got those PMI and ISM numbers, as well as Rosengren and a construction spend number. Wednesday, all those Fed speakers I was just talking about in the Beige book, so that'll certainly be a big Fed day. We also get the July trade balance out earlier in the session. Thursday, we get the August ADP number, Q2 productivity and unit labor cost updates, as well as some service PMI figures in the July factory orders. Nat gas and crude oil are also both out on Thursday. And then Friday, the August jobs report and Fed Chair Powell. I am out on Friday. I feel like Powell just sets his schedule up to talk whenever I'm out, but I'll do my best to provide commentary from that. I'll be in the air, but hopefully I'll be able to follow along and post some thoughts. International macro, again, weekend, we got the PMI numbers coming out on Monday. We have a Australia interest rate decision, and that's going to really set off an interesting month on the decision front there. Tuesday, We got a Eurozone PPI and a construction PMI number from the UK, but nothing of great interest. Asia Pacific service PMIs will be out Tuesday night. Wednesday, European PMIs and retail sales numbers, as well as a Bank of Canada interest rate decision there. Thursday, German factory orders. Spain and France have a 10-year bond auction. And then Friday, we've got Germany industrial production. I should have put that in red. Also, one other thing to note, there's German state elections on Sunday. I'm going to be following that and provide any color in case that does rattle markets at all. Again, on the corporate conference side, we talked a little bit about that, and here's what we got. We got a Goldman Sachs Healthcare and Barclays Energy and Global Consumer Conference out on that kicks off on Tuesday. Wednesday, Citigroup's got a biotech and global tech conference. Cowen's got a global transportation conference that day. D.A. Davidson holds a tech conference. Deutsche Bank holds an aircraft and leasing. Goldman Sachs holds a global retailing conference. And KBW has their annual insurance conference. And finally, Wells Fargo with a healthcare show. So as you can see, surprisingly busy time frame there. Looking ahead to September, here's some of the key things that we could watch for. The White House is going to try to get the USMCA through Congress. It's also possible for a U.S.-Japan trade deal to be finalized. Iran is expected to ratchet up its uranium enrichment, so it's going to be a backdrop for September. Possible U.S.-China trade talks going on, and also there's some expectations that Trump could launch his healthcare plan. Finally, we got Apple with its new iPhone launch here. Some other dates of interest. We've got the September 12th ECB decision, an OPEC meeting, US CPI number, and a Democratic debate all going on the 12th. Then September 16th, we got the Chinese economic data out. September 17th, there's a UN meeting that kicks off. We'll see if there's anything of major importance going on at that point. September 18th is, of course, the Fed decision. And then September 19th is the Bank of Japan. So overall, a pretty busy session going on this month. That's all going to lay the groundwork for our October Q3 earnings reports. So let's take a look at some of these earnings for next week, which continues a relatively busy period for given the backdrop and the timing here. But first up, I want to take a look at, again, retailer is going to be a key theme here. And the first one that I want to pull up here is CONN, C-O-N-N. This is one that was left for dead a while back, but really been making a pretty nice run since getting off that 8 level. But as we've seen with all the other retailers here, just falling below the 200-day moving average, and now it's at a point where they really need to beat or face some further selling pressure, dropping it back down to that 16 area, and perhaps revisiting where we were at the beginning of 2017, when a lot of people were looking for this one to fall off the cliff. 12 million float, 43% short interest. That's all you need to know there. This thing could definitely be a big mover. American Eagle, another one of those beaten down retailers that I simply just don't have much of an interest in owning any of it. We could see another one that's below its 200-day moving average, similar to Abercrombie and Fitch. If they were to fall short of expectations, look for this one to get hit. Next up, we got truck maker Navistar, NAV, out on Wednesday. AEO and NAV are both Wednesday releases for what it's worth. This is one that's been on the decline as it's fallen, another one that's fallen below its 200-day moving average. It's hitting multi-month lows here, or multi-year lows actually. We got to go back to November 2016 since the last time we've seen it trading at this area. Coming into some key support, we'll see if they could post a report that will ease some of these tensions around it. Next up, AVAV. that drone play that's getting back to levels that I am interested in. Right now it's trading right at its 200 weekly, or at that 47 area. They have tended to disappoint a little bit on earnings, so not looking to get involved with that ahead of the earnings report. But if we've got a breakdown, that's one that I would be looking at. Next up, Cloudera. I still have that long in it. It's filling up some of that gap down lower from its last earnings, and that's really been the bugaboo for Cloudera. That's where the sales execution problems that has led investors to the sidelines has really come to the forefront. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'll be doing an earnings preview, and a name that we'll want to watch, MongoDB. Cloud platform play here. It's been a weaker name, and this workday action has me a little cautious on MDB. So another name, it's trading right around its 50. We'll see if it can hold that level post results. It's definitely been one of the stronger reporters out there, but we really haven't been seeing these plays be rewarded. Next up, let's take a look at Palo Alto Network, PANW, cybersecurity play that's looking pretty shaky here. It's trying to hold that 200 psych level. Don't know if it's going to do it, and certainly a poor report would lead this down to at least 180. So a name that I would be cautious on going into earnings. Another cloud play out there that we want to watch, Pivotal Software, PVTL. I had to do a quick search on this one because, well, obviously you can see that gap down. It got beat up on its earnings report, but I do believe that somebody is buying us out, and that's where we got that pop out. VMware, I think. Yeah. So, probably not as big of a earnings play right now, but a name that we'll want to watch regardless. That's PVTL. We got recent IPO Slack Technologies also out. This is one that's just been a brick since it came out. It opened up for trade. Let's see where it opened up for trade. At 38.50. Now we got it at 28.68. Steady decline there. A lot of concern about Microsoft and its suite of products just really cutting into Work's business. This will provide them with the opportunity to prove those skeptics wrong, but this is definitely a must show situation here. Otherwise, we could see some further selling going on there. Next up, I want to take a look at SMAR, which is Smartsheet, yet another cloud-based platform name. This has been one of the stronger names going on in the markets, but it did just break below its 50-day moving average today. So, again, really cautious on a lot of these names coming out, as they've just been out of favor. Valuations certainly weighing in on them here at the moment. So some good information, a good read on the current market leaders and whether or not they're going to be able to continue to lead the market, or if they're just going to join the sell-in and perhaps lead us lower. Next up, telecom communication play, Ciena Corp, CIEN. This should give us some nice color on the 5G space. The stock's been holding up better than most, sitting right around that 40 area, just above its 100-day moving average, but it has moved below its 50 and hasn't been able to recover it. And that 200-day sits right below at 38.58. Next up, we'll take a look at GII. This is GII Apparel. Again, you're going to see this chart, and it's going to look like a lot of the other retailers that have simply failed to impress here. This has got to hold the Psych 20 level. It's pretty pure and simple, and that is all going to be based around the performance that we see out on Thursday afternoon. Signet Jewelers, SIG, yet another retailer that's just been hammered here. We saw Tiffany get beat up pretty good on their earnings, and Signet, while dirt cheap at this level, certainly look like a value trap. I mean, this is just, we got to pull up the weekly on this so you can get a fair idea of what this downward trend looks like. And there's the weekly. I mean, can't touch this. It's just too ugly. I think it's a value trap. Not interested in it at all. Next up, we got CRWD, CrowdStrike, yet another recent IPO. It's been really giving up its gains here as of late. Stock was one of the stronger IPOs to kick off 2019, but ever since testing 100, we've seen it pull back in about 20 points. Now it's trying to hold that 50-day moving average here, right around 81.21. Next up, DOCU, DOCU. Little bit of an older name at this point now, not in that recent IPO area, but this is yet another one that's dipped below its 200-day moving average. Let me do a quick check on. I want to see what was going on there around August 2nd. Obviously, that was the Trump headlines, so I think that's what broke this below. But it's outside of holding 44. It's making a little bit of a pushback high, I suppose, but needs a good round of results in order to get back up above that 200-day. Then we got one of the stronger retailers out over the last few years. That's Lululemon. They've been just hitting the comps in the 20% range and just been one of the more loved names out there. So this should be a good test to see if that could continue higher, or if we're going to kind of see some of these high-flying retailers pulled back in, similar to the action that we're seeing in a lot of the cloud spaces. All right, then we got PagerDuty, PD. This is an interesting recent IPO because it's been rolling over since it hit that 58 level. Now it's actually trading below its IPO range, down at 35. Big bounce back today. I haven't seen anything in particular. Again, this is a company platform that collects signals from software-enabled system or devices and interprets those signals to identify events. Then it engages team members to take action in real time. So, similar to the old school pagers, that's the PD or the PagerDuty name. But again, first earnings report as a public company. I'll be curious to see how this stock reacts. And finally, Zoom Technologies, ZM. This is similar to Cloud, one of the stronger IPOs that we've seen out there. And but we are seeing it pull back a little, not nearly to the degree as Crowd. The irony is they both are pulling in after hitting that 100 psych level. Don't think there's much rhyme or reason for it outside of that 100 psych level. And Zoom Video is definitely going to be in a position where they're going to need to post solid results in order to offset any selling. This is one of the more favored names that they have. All signs are pointing to them having a strong quarter, so I would expect them to produce a really good report, and that should be interesting to see what happens if they are able to push higher or if we see them sell off. So that is what we are looking at for the week ahead. I'll post a link to this for anybody that missed it, and you can recap over the weekend and get yourself prepared for next week's trading. Again, I should be on Monday afternoon posting the PMI numbers, so we should be fresh and ready to go. Everybody out there, enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and we hope to talk to you soon, and happy trading.